to put on a wig, go to a bar, and pick her up.
Well, does that satisfy a man's instinct for variety? Dave says there's a need for variety.
Right.
A wig is variety, Bernice?
It begins. It's one step towards saying it's something she won't find offensive. She might be silly, but not offensive. It's step one to get him to say what he would really like.
Yes, but that step could also lead him to divorce, because I know plenty of women who will say, and I'm talking women younger than me, who say to me,
that's crazy.
When we talk, they'll say, I'm not going to give him oral sex. Oh my God. And I'm like, but you've been married 22 minutes. And like, oh, forget it. He pays the bills.
You know, at the risk of offending...
I'm curious what Dave was going to say.
Well, Dave was going to say something. Go ahead.
Dave was going to say
You're
something.
hosting the show?
About shush.
You shushed me. Go ahead. What do you have to say, man?
Well, I think adventure is another reason men go to prostitutes. Also, physical contact is a big reason. I think men tend to feel love by being touched, and I think that this, sort of from a biological point of view, men feel often that if you don't touch me, you don't love me. And while you can also get a massage, you get the whole package. You get touched and you get the orgasm. When you go to a prostitute, you get the adventure and the feeling of conquest, even though it isn't real.
It's a fake conquest.
It is, but the act is real. And whether the feelings may not be real, but what happened, is real. And in the animal kingdom, it's about the act.
All right. Now, again, at the risk of offending Bernice again, I know you said you weren't offended, but
I really wasn't.
Okay, but look, there's a lot of stuff on the web about why men go to see prostitutes. Almost all of it wrong, and I just pulled off one representative quote from a feminist website. Dave and I are going to see some hookers after the show. From a feminist website called Menstrual Poetry, and so the question is, and this is common, I think. The question was, why do men go to see prostitutes? The answer is, when it comes to a regular relationship, it is said that men feel as if they must give a great deal to their partner in order to get a little something back. Our culture represents women as high-maintenance individuals, always demanding the security of a man. While those exaggerations are often false, it is our society that has conditioned men to believe it's true. Society has conditioned us? No. Women have conditioned us to believe it's true. Come on.
Have you ever been to a prostitute?
No.
You ever been tempted? Be honest.
You know what? I've been tempted, but I know it would make me feel bad. And so I don't do things that I know ahead of time are going to make me feel bad. Okay, so I stay away from things that I think are going to hurt me. I think when you turn sex into a commodity, which is what we've done, it devalues. Do you not agree with me on that?
One thing
I don't disagree with you. I only took issue because it sounded like you had some personal issue. Not with what you said.
You want to do a therapy session? No, they're cameras here. We're on the air, Bernice.
I said we'll talk later.
One thing I think is important to sort of broaden the context is that everybody who does something they don't like in some way, shape, or form is a prostitute. So I think that prostitute can be defined very broadly.
Okay.
Yes, to be a work whore.
And here's another thing: women who have casual sex tend to feel guilty and depressed much more often than men. And men who have casual, and with great exception, and men who have casual sex often tend to feel effervescent, in some can often.
There's an energy rush.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that this is a fundamental difference in men's culture and women's culture and men's sexuality and women's sexuality.
There was a study done in London, which I think is the most comprehensive study. The main reason men gave to seeing a prostitute was it satisfied an immediate sexual urge. Now, is that a physical urge or what's being satisfied, physical or emotional? When they say immediate sexual urge,
you can never separate those, because everything that happens physically happens neurologically.
But probably initially physical.
Well, actually, I just read something that said that everything goes through the limbic system now. That actually every thought has to go through your emotions before it even gets to, and that's the new psychology.
I'd like to, if I may, just the other, something as we're forgetting, most of the things that we hear about, we have our senators and governors and congressmen and so on and so forth.
Why do the powerful men go to see
Yeah, I think they're narcissists. I think they think I can do it because I can and I won't get caught. I think that they have serious problems.
And they're running our country.
And they're running our country. Some of them.
Elliot Spitzer was such a powerful man. I know many women who, I don't know why he had to pay for it. I know many women who would have gone out with him, had sex with him. All he had to do was pick up the phone and say, "Paula, it's Elliot." And
how did you know?
And why would he do something? Why would he pay for
anonymity in his case?
Yes.
Well, he should get his money back, don't you think?
Well, he absolutely should. It's a little late
What
for
he
that.
thought was anonymity, although if you're Freudian, you would think he wanted to just destroy himself.
Because they can get away. I just think that perhaps
That's a
Mrs.
piece.
Spitzer, perhaps, and perhaps Mrs. Shriver, perhaps they weren't really doing the right thing, and perhaps Elliot didn't have time, and perhaps Elliot wasn't home a lot.
Well,
You know,
I
it's
think
hard
the
to
thing
really
with Elliot
tell.
had to do that he was making all these arrests when you know, and then it was hypocritical.
Right.
You know, I think that was the problem. And
I agree.
I'm not comfortable talking about the men by name because I feel bad for all of them
I do
and
too.
for their
I do
spouses.
too.
They've had enough bad publicity.
I agree.
But let me tell you this: people's lives are destroyed. We said testosterone and the other one is dopamine. You get addicted to this. I'm protecting the person. It was about 3 years ago, came from the Midwest. I saw this person locally because he had a nervous breakdown, tried to kill himself, and his family lived by. He started seeing different prostitutes, young, and he had a career change and was trying to just change just the way he lived and so on. And it was the kind of career change. Let's say he was going to become a Unitarian minister. That is a myth, but it was close, okay? And he could not stop. He was addicted to calling prostitutes and telling 2 of his male friends, look, I had this one, I had this one, I had this one. He got caught. His life was essentially over because of the career he had. Over.
Let me ask you this, and this is a question that comes to this desk from our executive producer, Tony Nazzaro, who wants me to ask you this, which relates to what you just said. Is it fair to do that to men? I mean,
Well, I don't think
we
so.
take a
No.
biological
No.
desire
No.
and we make it
This is a
illegal and we
sick
destroy
guy.
people's
No.
lives. Is that fair?
There should be an avenue. In Europe has figured this out, that people have drugs. We need,
Right.
what's the way to do sort of damage control?
Right.
And the way is to license prostitution, to legalize it, to regulate it, to tax it, to make sure that health care is
Absolutely.
required.
It's called the Berlusconi factor.
And we don't do it because of the puritanical nature
That's right.
of the
Right.
country.
Of this country. Right.
I mean,
I
the
agree.
Puritans believed that, you know, if you embrace the animal, you're a pig. If you deny the animal, you're a liar. And the Puritans were all about denying the animal.
But you said once, and I heard you say that the reason, I quoted him, that the reason that sex with prostitutes is okay is because it's commerce. You told me that. I remember
I
you
did.
saying that. You saying that sex with a woman, paid sex, is commerce. And so that's the one reason that I think men can overcome the guilt, because in a way a puritanical man says, what's a business deal?
I don't remember saying that.
You
but
did say that.
Not today.
Not today.
Oh,
But,
not today. You know
and,
each
and
other.
I don't want to be judgmental about this, and I want to be
I
accepting
think
of it, but
it was
when
you
you
first.
turn sex into commerce, you're devaluing sex. You're devaluing everything. This is a gift that should be given freely or not, but to buy it and to sell it, to trade on it, seems to me to be something fundamentally
value-
destructive of sexuality.
The value of sex is individual.
You're a
it's
romantic.
between us.
You're a real
Yes.
romantic, and I think it's a nice quality. But in fact, the truth of human relationships, no matter how much you love somebody, you like somebody, you value them, human relationships are about bartering. They're on some level. It's about mutuality and reciprocity, and you can't have that without bartering on some level. We're bartering right now in the way we're communicating, just the language you're using, the way we're taking turns. So if you look at it that way, it isn't necessary. You know, people have a notion that sex has to be sacred. One notion is that sex is sacred. The other notion is that it's a need, it's a service.
My feeling is not that it has to be sacred, but
Well,
that
the
it should be
Catholic Church
real.
would tell
It
you
should be
that.
authentic. It should be
I
genuine.
couldn't agree more,
And-
but
and-
yet we do have these people.
And you use the word
large,
should,
you know,
because
numbers.
in marriage it should be wonderful. Marriage should be a partnership, but it's not often.
There's very rarely true mutuality all the time even between a happily married couple. Somebody's not less in the mood, somebody's more in the mood.
We have just a few seconds left. You think what's happening on the internet is going to make prostitution more or
See,
less
I
of a
can't
fact?
tell because I think things that we're even going to have holographs of people that'll be right sort of near us.
Oh, Christ.
I don't know whether it's going to. Yeah, all of that has come
Having
true.
sex with their
I
holograms.
think either it will, excite more because you can have all of this going on, or
right.
maybe less.
We're out of time. I have to stop. I wish we could do more because there's more to talk
there's
about.
so much.
I just thank all of our panelists. Paula Young, as always, thank you.
Thank you,
were
Mr.
terrific.
Feit.
You were terrific. Dave Behar,
My pleasure.
thank you for
Thank
your
you. This
expertise.
was a lot of fun.
And Bernice Bernhard, thank you
Nice
very
to
much
meet
for
all of
joining.
you.
Nice meeting you.
I always
And
love you.
we thank you for watching our show and for supporting us for MensNet. This is Mel Feit. We'll see you next time.
And you see, now these are the topics that we should be able to do part 1 and 2.